Hello. I'm just still figuring things out. Oh my God. Okay. Hi, everybody who's joining and watching. Just give me a second while I adjust everything. Welcome to this donation-based live reading. Okay. Let me know where you're watching from. How are you doing? What kind of questions you have? I'm just going to gather my bearings here for a second. I sort of dove head first. So if you're just joining in, let me know where you're watching from. And we're going to get started here in a second. Okay. 1 second. Hi, Prue. How are things in Toronto? KJT, hi from Brooklyn. Hi, Texas. We have New York in the house. How awesome. Welcome. I hope you guys are doing well. I am having a little bit of an overwhelming day. I think there's just a lot going on, but everything is good overall. Okay, I'm just looking for... So, okay, the way these work is I'm answering your questions. The readings are donation based. Pay what you can. Suggested amount is $25. There is an information with the payment links in the description. So if you'd like to jump on my list, I do ask that you use one of those links, send the donation however much you can afford. But like I said, the suggested amount is $25, and then I will add you to my list and I will answer your question. The questions you can ask could be anything. They can be related to love, career, future transits. If you have specific questions that you want answered. Okay, I am going to pin this comment. Okay. So this is where we are. If there are people who have sent donations in the past. If anybody who did that in the past, if you're watching and you'd like me to, if you ever sent a donation, you will be on my list. So if you've sent a donation in the past and I didn't get to you, again, do let me know so I can make sure to, take care of it. Are you guys enjoying Jupiter in Cancer? Is there any abundance that you think it's bringing you, or are you noticing more maybe some of the challenging Saturn going retrograde energies? We kind of have a mixed bag right now. There is some positive energy with Jupiter in Cancer, but we also have Mars conjoining South Node, which I just posted a video on today. And so Mars conjunct South Node can be a little bit chaotic. I think ultimately it is urging all of us to let go of the perfectionism and like tendency to work really hard and to maybe stress over things and let go of that kind of like unhealthy, critical, perfectionist attitude and go more in the direction of the Piscean dreamer attitude, right? We even have right now Mercury, which is the ruler of Virgo, is about to station retrograde in a few days. And then, Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, where the North Node is actually currently strong. So there is like a clear focus on Jupiterian topics. Okay, I do see a donation from Amanda. When you send the donation, you are added to my list. If you want your information to be private, you should email me at Anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com so I can So I can make sure I don't share your information with others. If you don't mind your information being public, you can put it in the chat, and I will just take it from there. Okay, adding Amanda to my list. Thank you so much for your donation. Today is 7:14. Okay, Amanda opens our ceremony. Amanda. Miss Adamo, right? This is you, I think. Yeah, if you'd like your information to be private, please email me. And then I can start putting your information in. But again, if you don't mind it being public, you can also just put it in the chat. Okay. Amanda, you're saying my info doesn't have to be private. Yeah, so first I would need your information, date, time, and place of birth, so I can pull up your chart, and then you can ask a question. Absolutely. And Miriam, I am seeing your information, or is it Vanessa? These readings are donation based. Basically, pay what you can, but suggested amount is 25. And in order to get on my list, there is a payment link in the description or in the pinned. Did I pin comment? It is in the pinned comment. Yes. So that's how it goes. So far, I'm waiting for birth information from Amanda. Okay, I see your question, Amanda. Could you share your birthday information? I need date, time, and place. The more specific, the better. Hi, Julie James. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Amanda. September 27, 95. 10:54 p.m. So for the new people who are coming by, if you want to get on the list, the way to do it is to send the donation, and then I will see it. And then once your donation goes through, you will share your birthday information, date, time, and place, and your question. And if you want your information to be private, then I do ask that you email me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com and specify, private information and share your information there. Okay, Vanessa, I see you as well. So right now we have Amanda and Vanessa. Okay, and I was pulling the chart information. Okay, I did get your information, Vanessa. You go by Vanessa, right? I would, or Miriam. Okay, so Amanda, let me see, where was I? September 27, 95, 10:54 p.m., Queens, New York. Okay. So I pulled up your chart. Let me share it. So we're all looking at it. Do let me know if you can see it. And also, Amanda, is this correct for you? Libra, Sun, Scorpio, Moon, Gemini, Rising. Do you recognize this chart? And okay, I see, Vanessa. Okay, Amanda, so I want to know my love patterns because I heard I have a square on it, and I want to know more of what that means. Square to your Venus? You're also saying I also would like to know what my natal chart says about career and love and family. So I'm not sure what you mean by having a square. Well, okay, let's see. So I guess there are a couple of squares. I wonder what exactly were you told? Okay, you're like, I don't know what squares means. Okay, so in a birth chart, we have, you can think of it as a story. By the way, if any of you want to learn more about astrology, I am teaching a course which will teach you how to read natal charts for yourself and for other people and give you the knowledge that will then help you delineate and figure things out yourself and sort of be more conscious about it. But real quick, so we have, you can think of a chart as a story with planets, these guys being characters, and then zodiac signs are like outfits. They tell you how would this planet show up, how would it for example, Amanda, for you, you have Venus, which is the planet of love in Libra, which is very flirtatious, very easygoing, very nonchalant, detached at times. But then your Mars, which is the planet of action and sexuality and passion and desire, is in this very attached, very intense, very brooding Scorpio. So you project off the bat. One might be like, what kind of energy you project? You probably project a very like detached and he ha 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 type of energy. But then your moon is in this Scorpio that remembers things deeply, that feels deeply, right? And it's conjunct Mars. And so that's like anything but detached. So this is, I think, something to be aware that there is this like conflict should know about, and like maybe people, because then they might be like, oh, where is this coming from? And so then we have houses, and there are certain houses that are connected to relationships. Houses are like decorations behind those planets. The first house being you, your identity, your appearance. The house exactly opposite you is them. So that would be the house of significant relationships. And then squares are the connections between the planets. Squares tell us, do these planets like each other? Do they help each other? Do they mess with each other, right? So a square is considered a difficult aspect, and you can see that there are blue lines in your chart and there are red lines. And blue lines are easy and harmonious, and red lines create a little bit of friction. We need friction in life in order to grow, so it's nothing to be scared of, but it is something that maybe is a little bit more tense in your life. So even though your Venus and Mars technically don't make aspect to each other, I did describe to you how I would perceive this as a conflictory energy. Ryan is asking, how much donation should I send? So these are pay what you can, pay what you feel comfortable with. Suggested amount is 25. So, and it's kind of like up to you, up to what you feel like. So when we're talking about a square, right? Ryan, I see that you're asking to be friends. I think you can just send the payment without that. I think it's like you just skip the phone number. I think there should be an option for that. But if you don't, well, I can add you as a friend, I guess. Why not? So when we're talking about a square in your chart, Amanda, so the ruler of your house of relationships is Jupiter, and it's sitting right here. So it tends to suggest like a very adventurous, fun partner, someone you may meet in their domicile, right? Like if they're a bartender, you meet them at their bar. If they're a landlord, you meet them by moving into their building. So like they have, your partner definitely has this kind of like very well-rounded, sophisticated, well-educated type of personality. But then there is a square. It's like kind of a wide, not the tightest square, but there is a square between your Jupiter and Saturn, which might suggest certain delays romantically. Are you in a relationship right now, Amanda? So I think, to answer your question, what your chart says about love, it says that you are blessed on many levels with meeting people who are supportive and encouraging and likely will teach you good lessons. And maybe like your house of partnerships is actually a very strong house. But Saturn might suggest some delays. So maybe, maybe there is an energy of, so the square might suggest delays. And then if we look at your Venus, she does kind of broadly square Neptune, which might suggest certain like idealism in love. So that's something to also keep in mind. And I think having Neptune in the eighth house, I would warn you to not like be reckless with, especially if you have a lot of money. I'm not sure. Like the ruler of your house of finances is the moon in Scorpio. So like you did ask about career, so it sort of looks like maybe making money through healing, nurturing, even doing like sort of sexual therapy type thing, being like a therapist for couples. You're saying I don't, I do spend though on vacations. This is your Jupiter in Sagittarius. Might meet someone. Oh, you teach yoga. How awesome. What kind of yoga do you teach? I have just recently got my yoga teacher training. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, it's Anastasia does yoga. So okay, where was I for a second? Yeah, so like Jupiter is I think to me like a sign of a foreign partner, and professional would be money coming from maybe service, taking, even like working with animals. But you said you teach yoga, so service. And then what I was kind of saying with like Neptune, Uranus, and the eighth, you really need to be careful that you're not reckless with other people. Let's say like Neptune in the eighth could be very like easygoing when it comes to partners' money, to a point that you like either give a partner, don't care, but then they end up like making poor decisions. So it's kind of this placement where don't be too sort of easygoing with finances. So those are what I'm seeing. You're saying I'm a high school teacher too and want to become a hairdresser. You're saying that's what I do. See, I could definitely see a creative career for you, because your Venus, you have a few planets in your chart that are very strong, and this is like quite beautiful. The only sort of more complicated placement is your moon in Scorpio, which could suggest just like really intense, deep emotional nature that maybe sometimes is not as obvious to other people. Might also suggest like an intense relationship with the mother, or maybe some health issues that the mother had to deal with that has like taught you a lot, or even like mental health, physical health things. But yeah, Venus in your chart is in rulership. Not the strongest planets of parents in your chart. So there might be some kind of suggestion that maybe your parents were either self-made people, or like they don't come from money necessarily, or they maybe like like had to professionally too. Your Saturn return, so the last 2.5 years could have been very important professionally, maybe brought some deep realizations and sort of inner focus on things that are more spiritual, I think. And your strong Jupiter rules your house of career too, so that might suggest having a business, starting a business. So saying that you want to become a hairdresser, I think works quite well with your chart. There's just maybe with Saturn, both romantically and professionally, there is an energy of delays, or things taking their time. So that's what I see for you, Amanda. I hope this helps. If you want to study astrology, come join my course, or you can also always book like a full-size reading to get more guidance to kind of talk things out. Ryan, I saw a friend invite from you. I don't think I got the donation yet. But Vanessa is next. You're welcome, Amanda. Okay, Vanessa, are you're still here? Okay, I also see Carla. So right now we have Vanessa, Carla. Okay, I'll be back with you in a second. Too many tabs. Okay, Vanessa is here. Ryan is asking, can we do me next? Well, right now it's Carla, and as soon as I get your payment, you can be the third on the list. Hi, Astrolofax. Thank you for saying that you love my take on the cosmos. Amanda is asking, does the natal chart say anything about ages? Not sure what you mean. Ages for like getting married, or specifically, could you elaborate on what you're asking? Okay, Vanessa, let me see. I see your information. I don't think I saw your question. So if you want to type up your question while I'm putting your information in, that would be lovely. Okay, let's stop sharing for a second. I appreciate you guys being so supportive also, always. You are really sweet. Okay, Vanessa, March 10, 85. 9:14 a.m. Okay, pull up. I have your chart. What would you let me know your question? Okay, Amanda is saying like planets represent ages. KJT, what's my email? It's Anastasia does astrology, but they're periods. Anastasia period does period astrology at gmail.com. Planets do connect with ages, but it's not always very what exactly would you want to know the ages for? Like if let's say we're looking at like North Node, and then if you're looking at the North Node being somewhere, you might assume that that area might unlock for you after 42. But then other planets are connected to like other kinds of ages. So yeah, I feel like I would need to know more in order to answer this. Okay, Miriam. Let's see. Miriam, sorry, Vanessa. I'm just like, Miriam throws me, I see it, and it's like, Miriam, who's Miriam? We don't know Miriam. Although I'm sure Miriam has a reason. Okay, just a second. So Amanda, you're saying that's the question you're asking. So you're asking if the planets represent ages. Not really. I wouldn't say they represent ages. I would say they have ages of maturity. Like there's certain ages when a planet becomes more friendly, let's say. But yeah, I wouldn't look at it as like necessarily it's connected to an age. Okay, Vanessa. So is this you? Pisces, Sun, Scorpio rising. We have Scorpio moons lined up. Must be something in the air tonight. Okay, so you're asking, I wanted to ask what you see for life purpose. I'm currently in school to become a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Would this be aligned for me? Also, what can you see for finances and fertility? We have been trying for 2 years. Okay. Pisces, Sun, Taurus, Rising, Scorpio, Moon. Okay, so life purpose, right? So your chart ruler is Venus. She's in the 12th house. So to me, this reads as interest in things, interest in more than meets the eye, right? Like there is strong spiritual focus to you. There's perhaps ability to grow through difficulty, more awareness of hidden things. So I think, and like your Mars is very strong and it's in the 12th house, and it's like, so, okay, it's interesting. So, your South Node, which is often connected to the past lifetime or strengths you carried over from past lifetimes into this lifetime, is in Scorpio, right? So, on many levels, you are very intuitive. So, if you're asking psychiatric nurse, right? Like, for sure, being someone who, like, very intuitive, reads people, maybe lingers a little bit too much in the negative, or like tends to see the negatives over the positives, right? So with your Taurus North Node, part of the karmic purpose and part of the goal is to learn to be more present, be more embodied, and be more kind of aware of yourself despite, or other than what's happening in your relationships, because your South Node in the house of relationships can create like a lot of maybe turbulence, or a lot of like, the ruler of your house of partnerships is strong. So it's like maybe, a foreign partner, someone who works in this also like healing mental health field, someone who's like powerful, determined, passionate, that kind of personality. But you may lose yourself in relationships with your Moon here, with Saturn here, with Pluto, with like South Node. Is just like very intense house of relationships. And so maybe even trying for a while, like, all of the relationship matters, they can drag you down sometimes, or like occupy too much of your mental energy. And so with North Node in Taurus, the focus is on self. But both of these, so your South Node is ruled by North Node is ruled by Venus in the 12th house. So 12th house, taking care of other people, communicating the invisible things, bringing them into visibility, being like a therapist, right? Like 12th house is the house of your mental health garbage on many levels. It's like everything that is unresolved, unprocessed, things we don't look at, hidden enemies. So I think you being a psychiatric nurse makes like a lot of sense. You're saying yes, definitely have a history of that. Okay. Yeah, so psychiatric feels like something that will definitely be aligned for you. And I really like, I think having Mars in the 12th house might suggest, even though you're someone who faces these battles and deals with battles, you have the power to, overcome them and get through difficulty and sort of, like get out of hardship. What can I see for finances and fertility? It's interesting because both finances and fertility in your chart are ruled by Mercury, and I don't understand why it's giving you a hard time. I'm like, why is Mercury not being friendly? Because you have Mercury in Aries. It's like this very like passionate, blunt, direct Mercury. Maybe it's the fact that it's in the 12th house. Maybe it's sort of like tucked away and hidden. Fertility. So Jupiter is currently in Cancer, and that is generally quite nice for fertility and conception. Your Moon is in Scorpio conjunct Pluto. So, my thinking would be like maybe there are some rituals that you can do. North Node is also conjoining your Sun right now. That's pretty fascinating. A lot of focus on like dreams. Okay, so one thing that I'm seeing right now that I think is really important is the theme of giving up like control. struggling with control when it comes to pregnancy. Mars conjunct South Node here. Like there could be this like obsessive, controlling, trying to get things to be a certain way type of energy. And so giving up control could be a good idea. I would also recommend doing some remediation rituals, perhaps for your moon, because moon sometimes is connected to like mothers, and your chart kind of gives this energy of maybe like very controlling mother you've had. The controlling mother, like energy from China, things like that. And so I would recommend every month a little self-care ritual. I would also suggest my moon. I have this exalted moon candle, which is the moon in Taurus, which is the opposite of your natal energy, a lot more chill, a lot more grounded, a lot more like stable, good for manifesting. So like, you know, if you're doing a self-care ritual every Monday, like taking a bath, drinking tea, lighting a candle, setting your intentions, just sort of like releasing the grasp a little bit, that could be useful. And what else would I say? Maybe even something for Mercury too, because Mercury is in the 12th house. And sometimes when it's in the 12th house, it's like a dark house. And there could be some, like, again, some kind of self-defeating tendencies that maybe thinking, control, maybe some kind of worries that you're not addressing. So for Mercury, I would say like moon is connected to Mondays. So on Mondays, I would like light a candle, you know, you can even like write a prayer to the moon and ask her to help with fertility. You can volunteer with like, you know, children who lost their parents, bringing attention, bringing like awareness, giving what you can give to people who have less is always a really great way to remediate more complicated placements. And for Mercury, it would be like journaling every Wednesday, because Wednesday is the day of Mercury. Hanging out with journalists and reading books, taking writing courses, maybe like expressing some of the controlling or frustrated energy in writing, I think. You're saying, yep, control was a theme for a while, working on letting things be. Ritual ideas. Yeah, so the moon rituals, and maybe for Mercury, I have Mercury in Virgo candles that could be good, and like just expressing things. Tara! Tara says, I credit praying to the moon for my daughter. Cancer risings in the house, mother and daughter duo, Taurus sun, Cancer rising. Yeah, honestly, like, and my boyfriend sort of is into it a lot, and he's like, you should lean into it, because like I tend to look at astrology as like you can take action, right? You don't need to be a passive participant, especially when it comes to your natal chart. It is harder with relationships because you cannot control the other person. You cannot make them be a certain way, but you can take kind of charge when it comes to you. So if you look at a chart and you're like, okay, I have this difficult placement, I have that difficult placement, perhaps there are ways that you can work with them. And so like volunteering is the best way, because you're only creating positive energy for other people, and even more so arguably sometimes for yourself, because I mean, show me a person that does a good deed and then feels badly afterwards. I think that's not likely. Okay, Vanessa, I hope this helps. I think I would recommend those rituals, and I think you are. I think maybe being patient and working on like your planetary energy could be a good idea. Okay, so let's see. Carla is next. Carla, I think you were going to send me an email, right? You were asking about the email. And for anyone, again, if you want to know more about astrology, join my natal astrology course. 3 months, twice a week. We'll meet. We'll talk about reading natal charts. I tend to always be very straightforward and direct and use kind of easy to understand examples. So you guys should give it a try. Give astrology a proper chance and come study with me. Okay, let me see. Who else was saying? Java Web was saying, I'm thinking about getting a reading, but don't have a particular question in mind. Hard to come up with one. You can also just ask me, what should you know according to your chart? Susanna, should I take an hour off my birth time if I was born during daylight savings time? I was born at 4:03 p.m. in July, but should I change it to 3:03 p.m. to account for the British summertime? I don't think so. Usually, if you put your information in like AstroSeek, it should be aware already of the daylight savings. So normally it makes the adjustments for you, because sometimes you will decide that you will decide to make a change, but then it will sort of confuse things even more. Okay. Vanessa says volunteering also sounds like a good idea. Positive distractions and building positive karma. Yes, helped a lot. Thank you. Yay. I am excited that it helped. So, David, these are donation based. Pay what you can. Suggested amount is 25, but it's normally my prices are significantly higher. So honor my expertise and time. Okay, KJT, Carla. Carla, did you send your information because you want your information to be private? Is that correct? You don't care about it being private. You just sent it so it's easier for me to find because you're just being thoughtful. Okay, so then I'll share your chart. Let me pull it up. And you're welcome for the last week's reading and advice. I'm glad it was helpful. Did we do your reading last week? Was it late June, maybe? In June, right? I think 2 weeks ago. What are you doing for your birthday in 11 days, Carla? I'm just putting your information in. You're saying you think it was last week you're going to Barbados. Java Web just donated as well. Thank you for donating. Are you Kizzy Joseph? Just gonna update my list. Sometimes people have like PayPal, YouTube names that are very different. Okay, so let me just update everything. So I think right now it's Carla and Kizzy. Kizzy, Java Web. Okay. David is doing donation now. Okay, Carla. So, new people who are joining and sending their information, the readings are donation based. Pay what you can. Suggested amount is $25. For those who want a full reading face to face to have a conversation, you can book a reading on my website. You can also pick up any of my magical candle oil creations on there. Okay, Carla, I'm just gonna right away pull up your chart with transits just so it's easier. A fellow Libra rising. You are. Okay. So This is correct, right? Leo Sun, Taurus Moon, Libra rising. And the question was, you're saying, this week I've been thinking a lot about love. I haven't had a serious or meaningful relationship in 10 years. At this point, I've mostly given up. Don't give up. But I still find myself wondering, am I meant to be alone? Will I ever meet someone? Or is this just how life will be? Give up. Definitely do. Okay. So you are ruled by Venus in Virgo. She's in your 12th house. One of my clients who's married, and it's not per 2 kids. So I feel like, yeah, like your charts, it's like everything but the moon. Her moon is in Gemini. So I think she's maybe like 2 days after you or a day after you were born. So if that's an example, there's definitely potential. Thinking a lot about love makes a lot of sense too, because Saturn and Neptune have just gone into your 7th house. And you have Saturn, Jupiter on your ascendant. Saturn, Jupiter is an interesting combination because Jupiter is the planet of growth, Saturn of stability, restriction. So I feel like you're someone who is most likely the person that struggles with this tension of like growing versus staying the same and doing it in very sort of slow and steady steps. But okay, so Saturn has been in your 7th house. Did I ask you before, what was your romantic life like the last time Saturn was in Aries, which you would have been really young, but that would have been from like 96 into early 99. So when you were 15, 16, 17, were you maybe just, what do you remember about that period? Saturn this year, only from late May into September 1st, it's in the 7th house, but it's definitely creating pressures. It's definitely making itself known. Neptune is creating this like longing for something, but a lack of clarity. And Saturn is making you look at things very seriously and be kind of discerning and like structured. And maybe even Saturn, I've seen this for like a friend. I've seen Saturn go into Aries in late May, and she found out the guy she was crushing on has a girlfriend, and a very serious girlfriend, to a point that they're moving in together, moving to another country together. So like Saturn is gonna break all of these like illusions potentially, but it can also, for the next 2.5 years, it can kind of set you off on this journey of like saying no to people that don't work for you, being serious about dating, going at it in a very like pragmatic and, you know, reasonable way. You're saying, yes, that was my first love, 98, 99. Look at that. So maybe we're in a similar cycle. Maybe now you're going to meet some like your story, especially because you're saying basically my first and only time I've been in love. So that's promising, considering, you know, Saturn would have been here when you were from like 15 into 17. What did we say? 98. Yeah, like from like 15 into like 17, and now it's here again from this year, only like 3 months, like I said, June, July, August. And then next year it comes in February, and it stays all the way until like, I think, April. That's positive. I think of career and being close to your Mars, which relationships is significant. I would recommend rituals. You have Venus in the sign of her fall, and you have Mars in the sign of his fall. So Venus can be too self-critical, too maybe critical of the partner. As a partner, it could be easily hurt, easily sensitive, easily, you know, bruised. And this could be you, but it can also be people you attract, like somebody who like wants to be assertive and determined, but then they don't assertive and determined, and like you who of yourself come across as, critical of them. And then like there's a lot of miscommunications, misunderstandings. So for Venus, I would do every Friday, I would do like a self-love ritual. I would buy yourself flowers. I got myself these guys. Wait, these guys. I got myself on Friday because I'm also Libra rising with Venus and Virgo. So I'm not just saying things that I can't, sort of represent. And I would also really recommend like a Venus and Libra candle for you because you're a Libra rising, Venus and Libra, a lot more sort of easygoing energy than Venus and Virgo. And for Mars, so Friday is Venus, Venus day is Friday. It's funny, French people are so much more plugged in because their Friday is vendredi and they're like Monday is lundi and Luna, moon, vendredi, Venus, Venus, even like jeudi for Thursday, day of Jupiter. Anyways, sorry, I like went on a rant about my love for French people. I mean, France as a country is probably more fair to say. But yeah, so and rituals for Mars every Tuesday, which is the day of Mars. Ideally, martial arts, working with metals, maybe also volunteering for some kind of charity that involves like military veterans or even people who, dealt with some kind of abuse, anything that is like martial action, fighting that is connected to you. But timing wise, considering we are, like it seems like you had a good experience the last time Saturn was in Aries and a really sort of major important experience. And so there might be, I think, for another one, considering it's been so long. So helps, would really urge that you do rituals because I think those could be really helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, do let me know. And if not, we're going to move on to Kizzy. David, I appreciate your donation. I am adding you to my list. So right now it's Kizzy and then David. So you're saying kind of scary since he also broke my heart. Carla, don't lean too much into the Saturn. You got to believe in it. You have to believe in it. Don't like sabotage yourself before things even started. Don't like listen to the self-destructive critical voice. Use the Saturnian energy in your chart to reprogram your mind with more positive beliefs because it can happen. You just have to be patient and work on self-love. I think with Venus and Virgo in the 12th house, like believing in loving yourself and like working on self, you can never, you can only win. You can never lose from that. Okay. Jawa Web, Kizzy. I see your information. What is your question, s'il vous plaît? Question? Okay. I'm going to put it in for now. Kizzy. Just will add your information. Well, 14 years, I understand. It is like rough, but you only need one person. Like I've been single most of my life, never dating anyone for longer than 9 months until I was 35 basically. Like and then I have same Venus as you, same sort of self-critical, easy to fall into a trap, and it's been almost 3 years. Is it always great? I'm very, I think, reasonable and rational Virgo. Relationships require work, but you only need one. You need one to succeed, and it can happen at any point. But also I have Jupiter in the 7th house. I will be optimistic forever, I think. And maybe you need a dose of that optimism. Okay. Oh, right. Kizzy, you said you don't have a particular question in mind. Okay. Well, if you come up with one at any point, you can just throw it in there and I will answer it. But for now, I can just tell you what I see and maybe something that makes me, I don't know, something that I find interesting about your chart, perhaps. Brooklyn, New York. Are you still in Brooklyn? And for anyone who wants to take this further, you can book a reading with me. You can register for my natal astrology course. There's many ways to take your interest in astrology to the next level. Okay, I see Carly. My PayPal is hopping today. Everybody seems to be choosing PayPal more than anything else. Okay, Carly. Okay, so right now we have Kizzy, David, and Carly. I might take one more person and then probably will close the list. So if you wanted to join in, do so soon. Okay, Carla. Wait, Carla, you're in Brooklyn, and Kizzy is also in Brooklyn. We have both of you are in Brooklyn. Julie James saying, I think Venus and Moon in Virgo is hard. Every placement can be hard, but Venus and Virgo is, I think she's tough on herself. And I think a lot of times people focus too much on how difficult this placement is instead of seeing the beauty in it, because Venus and Virgo knows love in a practical, realistic kind of way. She's maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm a Libra rising with Venus and Virgo. So I think I'm very romantic and idealistic, but I'm also not like, I feel like to me, sometimes Venus and Libra people love in a way that is not grounded, that is a little bit like everything is just unicorns and rainbows. Venus and Virgo will not love someone like that. It will understand that, you know, things can get more difficult. Things sometimes are hard, sometimes are great. Like, but yeah, Venus, Virgo placements definitely need to work on self-love. And it is picky for sure. But then Virgo Venus sometimes gives attention to people that need saving. Similarly as Venus in Pisces, right? People always talk about like how Venus in Pisces is this like exalted Venus, but how many times have I seen Venus and Pisces women letting guys like walk all over them because they're so like, you know, they exalt love so much. So it's like, yeah. Julie James says, my seventh house is Virgo. I get it. I have a loaded seventh house. What's in your seventh house? What are your Virgo planets? Okay, so Kizzy, focusing on you. Let me share my screen with you. So we're looking at your chart. And you said you do not have a particular question. But let's first check, is this correct for you? Leo, Moon, Scorpio rising. Julie James, Jupiter, Saturn, and North Node. Jupiter, Saturn, and North Node. Huh. What year were you born? North Node. I'm like, I know people in 90. Were you? I don't know. I guess I don't know. 79. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes more sense. Okay. Kizzy, Pisces, Moon, Scorpio rising. Okay. So let's see. You're starting your Saturn return. Congratulations. This is the astrological moment of maturity. You're crossing the border from youth into adulthood. And it's nice that you're born during the day because Saturn returns tend to be friendlier during the day. But it is activating your sixth house. So I think it's going to bring up questions around health, questions around habits and routines, and questions around giving up on things too fast sometimes. So the ruler of your health is Mars. Mars in Cancer, similarly to what we were just talking about with Carla, requires Mars in Cancer doesn't always like working out, or it will, it will sort of work out based on how you feel. It may actually give you a lot of flexibility, which I think is my working theory, that Mars in Cancer makes people really flexible because it's Mars in a water sign. But I do think that Saturn return is probably really making you focus on your health and taking care of your health and being maybe very like structured and pragmatic and grounded when it comes to your health. Have you been noticing any sort of health or work concerns coming up? You're saying that is me, LOL, working out based on how I feel, not really liking it. Yeah, it could be useful to do some type of like martial arts, or even Tai Chi, or even like work with metals to sort of, because it's your chart ruler too. It's your kind of star leading planet, and so sometimes sometimes you sort of, I think you can benefit a lot from having structure when it comes to your workouts, because that might make you feel better, like physically and emotionally. You're saying my workload is increasing, also want to be better with establishing daily routines. Yeah, I think that's something that is very pronounced right now in your chart. I like, you have this lovely sun in rulership and Mercury in rulership. Mercury is in the house of friendships. To me, this reads as you're someone who's likely blessed with really good, kind of supportive, giving, even at times, even if they're a little bit like critical or perfectionist friends. And you have a very strong ruler of the house of career. So professionally, being like a leader, a mentor, someone who is visible, someone who guides other people is also very much a given. Astrolofax says, my Scorpio 6th house is obsessed with my health. Are you a Gemini rising? You're like, I always feel like I'm out of shape. Are you out of shape, or are you just like, is it just Scorpio wanting to be perfect or trying to control things? See? Okay. So that is, let me see. You're saying, okay, Astrolofax says just very self-critical. And you also, Kizzy, you also have Saturn on your south node, which could suggest like a certain dose of Saturnine attitudes that have been carried over and maybe embraced really deeply, where like so you're moving with south node in the 6th, ruled by Mars. In the 9th, you're moving in the direction of north node in Libra, ruled by Venus, in the 8th. It just sort of reads like there's this strong focus on balancing the mental health with physical health, and maybe even leaning into like astrology or tarot or some kind of spiritual rituals that can be helpful for you and kind of like helpful for your health too. And you also have the Grand Cross in your chart, which means all 4 of the cardinal signs are represented, with your south node Saturn in Aries, Mars in Cancer, north node Chiron in Libra, Jupiter in Capricorn. So you're someone who has this very strong initiatory energy. Luckily, you also have like quite an abundance of adaptable placements. But yeah, you do have a strong energy connected on like initiating things, but because you have 4 of the cardinal signs present, there's always this inner friction. Like, Saturn in Aries maybe just wants to like achieve things already, wants to be successful yesterday. And then Mars in Cancer doesn't feel like it, and it's more like emotionally driven, a little bit moody. And then your north node in Libra really cares about relationships and equality and fairness. And then Jupiter in Capricorn is very like traditional and pragmatic, and we need to have a certain and a bank account. And so there might be like a lot of inner voices happening at the same going on at the same time. But when you have all four, there is an ability to find truth somewhere in the middle. So like create ability, maybe learn to work with emotions in a constructive way that benefits your relationships as well. Okay, so I think that's what I'm seeing for you. Let me know questions. And David and then Carly. Okay, Susan. So I'm going to close the list for now because we already have 3 people on the list closed. Anything related to karmic purpose. So I think it's all intertwined because your North Node is in the 12th house and it is always connected to purpose. So I think there is a need to find balance between your maybe tendency to be someone who like, so Saturn in the 6 might suggest that you yourself in a position of like, in like, okay, so it's like a workhorse energy, right? Saturn in the 6 might suggest that there's a lot of duties, there's a lot of like things, that problems that you're solving, and your South Node being in Aries also to me reads as like you've maybe done multiple lifetimes in which you've problem solved for other people. You've been like a manager and a, you know, and a hostess, or like someone who like deals with the minute. Your North Node in Libra is actually urging you to lean into balanced partnerships and creativity, and make sure you're not compromising your interests and your passions for the sake of this like grimy work that will always be there. There's always going to be things that you need to get done. You're saying, interesting, I'm a therapist. Do you do any kind of like art therapy, or do you feel like there is also space for you to be creative? Being a therapist is actually a good compromise for the two, because that's like there's probably a certain level of like dealing with people's issues, 6th house, but then there's also there could also be like creativity in there too. You're saying no marriage and family therapist. I've struggled with my personal creativity. Yeah, expressing your creativity, connecting with your creativity, like could be I think very helpful. You're saying you struggled with finding what you feel connected to. House, it might like I'm getting a message that my connection is unstable. Can you hear me well? Did my connection break at all? Are we connected? Can you guys hear me? Oh, you're saying I can hear you. Sometimes it pauses, it goes in and out. It buffers sometimes. Okay, not sure what to do about that, but the warning message went away, so hopefully it stays. Hopefully everything stays well. How long has it been pausing? Is it more recent, or it's been like that the whole time? Astrolofax says Chiron in the 12th helps with the 3 other planets and their fall within the Grand Cross, in my opinion. I'm not sure why you're saying that. David says during the last reading too. Maybe I've been having a little bit spotty internet. It just gave me this message recently, so I don't know. Carla says, since you were reading for me, but I thought it was my connection. And David says it's not bad. Okay. Well, since I don't really know what to do about it, I think we'll just keep going. Yeah. So Kizzy, I think exploring your creativity, I think with Venus and the 8th, it could be connected to tarot, astrology, like designing a tarot deck, or doing some kind of trauma healing with painting, because 8th house is all about death and rebirth. So it might be about like doing some kind of spirituality with art. So that's I think what I see for you in terms of connecting with that creative energy. You're saying I've wanted to design an oracle deck. Look at that. Okay, you are already on. You are on it. You guys, I'm just gonna go grab some water real fast, so don't go anywhere. just give me a couple of minutes. Okay, turned out to be a lot less than a couple of minutes. Thank you for being patient. Kizzy says, I would need to find an illustrator though, because I can't draw. Well, maybe you can just start doing it for fun and design it yourself and figure out like what the concept is. And then you can like hire someone. Oh, and that's awesome. Okay. Julie James says, have you thought about trying Midjourney? I love it. You guys to each other. That's the goal. We are building a community, all connecting and helping each other figure things out. Okay, so David and Carly are next. David, do I have your information? I do. I see it. What is okay, so your question, let me see. So you're saying you know a little about each planet and the houses, curious about this current transit. Do you mind elaborating which transit are you interested in, or is it just generally you want to know about like current energy? While I'm putting your information in, if you could specify. Okay, October 20, 1986. Okay. So, David, my unique gifts or career midheaven with this Yod or finger of God chart, hopefully significant friends or relationship soon. Okay. So, I don't work with Yods that much, but I'm gonna see what I can tell you just based on those questions. But usually, like as a traditional astrologer, I look more at like sort of 5 traditional aspects: conjunction, square, opposition, sextile, and trine. And Yod, I think, involves something else. Let me see. Okay, so is this you, David? Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, Capricorn Rising. And so the question was unique gifts or career, hopefully significant friends or relationships soon. Unique full moon 0 makes empathy tense. 27-degree sun. I was told a lot of Aries or solar tied to Chiron makes a lot of sense. That's me. Okay, so let's see your unique gifts. So Jupiter in Pisces in a trine to midheaven to Venus, ruling your Saturn in the 12th house, looks quite nice to me. Jupiter in the third in its domicile, I think, is suggestive of good luck when it comes to business, good luck when it comes to your community, siblings, neighbors. I would also say this is lovely for like living in nice neighborhoods. And there's also, I mean, Saturn may complicate things, but there could be potentially a good luck from like moving away from home. In fact, your chart almost says that you're meant to live somewhere further away from home. Are you still in Nashville, Tennessee, or did you move somewhere else? So let's see. Mars. So you've got Mars in Aquarius, Venus in Scorpio. This is a bit tense, right? Venus in Scorpio and it's retrograde. So it's like this very passionate, very intense, romantically loyal, obsessive, wanting a relationship that's like very deep and close. And Mars in this like nonchalant, the way you go about finding relationships maybe is a little bit detached and sort of I think Mars in Aquarius is someone who like really likes talking about sex and imagining things, and then like sometimes maybe through that like your passionate nature doesn't always show up. David says, I want to move but I don't know where. So if you ever wanted to do like an astrocartography reading, we could potentially look where your chart changes and like where maybe your Jupiter gets activated better. So like moving to your Jupiter line could be a very lovely sort of happy place for you. What do you do? I mean, your midheaven being in the 11th house is all about other people, career that's success is all about creating transformations and change in other people. The ruler is Mars in the second house of money. So it's like, again, some kind of business, entrepreneurship vibes. Being someone who like is, you have to like take action professionally. You have to be like battles for other people, like fighting fights for other people. This could also be like a therapist or a lawyer or something. You're saying need some motivation to move and re-engage. I've given up on relationships. Just love and accept. I just love and accept everyone as they are. That is awesome. That sounds like some Zen monk level. Jolie James says that I went out a little. Well, it sucks that the audio breaks up, but yeah, I'm not sure what this is or what it's connected to. Definitely pretty annoying. Susan, I see your payment. I did technically close the list, but I can take you. But after Susan, we are officially wrapped up. So the list is closed for now. I'm doing these every Monday pretty much. So if you miss it, you can join me next week until early August, when I'm going away for 3 weeks. So then I'll probably take a break and not do these for a while. David says, very high Zen monks. How do I get astrocartography? So you can book or natal chart reading on my website, and ideally specify where you're considering moving. Like, let's say if there's places that you've always dreamt about, places you visited that you really like, or specific areas, right? Like if you want to move to a place that will be good for career, or you want to move to a place that will be good for health or love or things like that. And do come study astrology with me, you guys. I think you will enjoy it a lot, and I think it will be awesome to learn more about yourself and other things. Susan, you say you think you got in just before it closed. Yeah, maybe I got a couple of payments at the same time. I don't see them like in real life. Sometimes I see them a little later. Okay, yeah. So David, as far as relationships go, you also, the ruler of your 7th house of relationships is the moon in the 6th, which is 12 houses away, which is likely a foreign partner potentially. It could also be a partner who works in healthcare, a partner who works with serving other people, helping other people. What am I thinking? Yeah, someone who like either has some kind of like very like mundane job where, you know, maybe they work as a receptionist at like a mental, like not mental, medical office, or they are in like a healing field. Sometimes the ruler of the 7th being in the 6th, which is 12 houses away, can also suggest that like before you meet this person that's right, a bunch of relationships might fall through. So David is asking, can you summarize or a few pointers again? Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing now. So that's in terms of relationships. You need to be patient, and you can potentially meet someone abroad. There's also Moon Saturn opposition. So the ruler of the house of relationships has to deal with Saturn, which could also be responsible for delays. Professionally, I think healing. I see working with women. See using your sort of intuition to help people potentially. There's also strong maybe like therapist, even like acting, writing, right? Scorpio could be like a sexual therapist, healer. Mercury will be someone who will not be afraid to talk about things. Pluto, really close to the midheaven. It's not really close, but it's in the same sign, is all about creating transformations in the lives of people. And then again with Mars and Jupiter in the 3rd house, like you have this very, I think, soft and supportive and soothing healing communication to you. You're saying that's spot on. I got chills. Anastasia does astrology. She gives you chills. So you people, you guys are talking about astrocartography. So Astrolofax is asking, does it coincide with your ascendant where the houses were in relation to the ecliptic? So the way astrocartography works is it looks at, so, you know, the moment you were born, let's say you're born in New York City at 6 in the morning on, what is today, July 14th, and you end up with the sun on the ascendant, right? Because sun rises at approximately 6 a.m. So Cancer sun, Cancer ascendant. But at the same time, in like Los Angeles, there's a different sign on the ascendant because it's before sunrise, right? So in LA, it might be like what? Maybe Gemini, no, maybe like Taurus rising. And so your chart for that same moment looks very different in a different place on the world. So place in the world. So astrocartography takes that into account and looks at different times, different places, and how you will feel in different places. And like, I'm a Gemini moon, similarly to David here, and Gemini moons have this element of like some kind of internationality to them, or a lot of travel sometimes. And I lived in the place I was born for like 6 years of my life. And then the rest of my life, I lived in all the other places. So even though I'm a Libra rising in Kazakhstan, where I was born, I'm a Gemini rising in New York City. So my chart is very different from the chart that I was born with. So astrocartography is super fascinating and definitely like worth looking into. Okay, David says, I want to be a therapist, teacher, trauma relief, healing, and mental is big. The current structure ties crap to certification approval. Yeah, that could be really good for you. And I think having your own business, having a business that's like using that supportive Jupiter to help people, even Saturn in the 12th house, your chart ruler being in the 12th house, it's like going through taking time to figure things out and not being afraid of putting the steps in. So it's very much suggestive that you're kind of meant to take your time with your career, and it's okay if things don't work out right away, so it's like it's sorry, I kind of lost my thought for a second there. But yeah, like you're not someone who is looking for easy ways, I'd say. It's like don't be afraid of things taking time. Okay, David, I hope the full sounds like it did resonate. You're saying the results and old soul and stars verify my credentials. Yeah, and also, like you're born with South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries too, which is North Node in Aries really urges you into this direction of like risk taking and maybe family healing, or figuring out who you are, what makes you comfortable and secure instead of what other people expect of you, because Libra South Node people they struggle with people pleasing. They struggle with like asking other people what they want and worrying. And you're a Libra sun too, right? Instead of like being in this place of trying to expect of you, try to connect with what of yourself. Okay. So thank you, David, for your donation and your question. Moving on to Carly. So we have Carly, and then we have Susan after Carly. David says, helping and holding space for others. Yes, 27%. Astrolofax, you're saying 6 a.m. in New York would be 2 a.m. in LA. I think it's 3 a.m. because we're 3 hours apart. Carly. Okay, Carly, question. In a long distance relationship, do you see the distance closing anytime in the next year, specifically me moving? Did you send me your information or did you share it? This sort of feels like a horror question, so I may not need your birth time, but I would appreciate it anyways. Date, time, and place, Carly? Could you share? Oh, you did on PayPal. Okay, let me see if I can pull that up. Sometimes there are so many ways you can share information, it like gets confusing, but I see it. I got it. And I might still pull up a horary chart, and horary chart is similar to a tarot reading. It's basically you're just asking the question of the planetary bodies right now as they are. Also, happy belated birthday, Carly. Did you have a good birthday? Okay. Do you want your information to be kept private, or is it okay to share it? Either is fine for me, but do let me know, please, before I share your information. It's okay to share. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't fully understand how ads on lives work. I feel like YouTube has its own sort of rules for that. Okay. So is this you? Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Libra Rising. Yes. Susanna says, I also send my info via PayPal. Okay. Thank you for sharing. You're welcome, Astrolofax. Enjoy your evening as well. Okay, Carly. So a couple of things that are interesting here, right? Saturn is in your seventh house of relationships. I think activating all of these relationship questions, making you think very hard on them, right? Like Saturn sometimes aggravates issues that exist in relationships and forces you to work through them. Have you noticed this question becoming more pressing since late went into March, sort of April, May, June, July? What's interesting is Saturn is retrograding out of your house of relationships. So it's going to leave the seventh house between September 1st and February next year, which could suggest that this question may either slow down or kind of calm down for a little bit. What is quite powerful here is the fact that the ruler of your seventh house is Mars in the ninth. And this is very much a foreign partner, a relationship that started abroad, long distance, someone who is like well educated, broad minded, of different culture upbringing, something about them, and like also likely someone very intellectual, business savvy, full of ideas and things like that. And so moving for a relationship, I think, is a part of your chart. So I want to see here. You're asking, is there a chance that the move will happen? Okay, we probably don't need to do a horary chart. I think just look might be telling, but let's see. Yeah, Carly, do let me know. Does this describe your partner? Like things I was saying about them? And I'm just going to look at some transits because I think with Uranus about to conjoin your Mars, there is definitely some interesting developments coming up. So, all of this is next year. Uranus will be conjoining your Mars next year. You're true, hopefully good, interesting. One might only hope. I think it will be interesting because it's like Uranus is in your ninth house for the total of 7 years. Uranus and the ninth house go quite well together because ninth house is about exploration and asking questions and going on long journeys, and Uranus is the great awakener, so it comes in here and you're moving suddenly, things develop rapidly, groundbreaking discoveries, finding religion, quitting religion, committing to astrology, coming to study with Anastasia does astrology. A shameless plug. But there might be things that are sort of developing really rapidly. And considering the first aspect Uranus will be making is to your Mars, which is the ruler of your house of relationships, that could be when things develop. That could be when things sort of take that leap. And so Uranus conjoins your Mars 3 times: June 11th, 2026, December 20th, 2026, and March 28th, 2027. And give these a month on each side. So it feels like an important rapid development. It is best to move slowly as possible and not making reckless decisions. But I think that might be the time when something really important is happening in your relationship. Even before then, you have Pluto Pluto currently in your, let me change this real quick. So here's Pluto in your 5th house. It's also trining your Mars, which is the ruler of the house of relationship. July 21st, so basically, and then December 30th, Pluto trines your Mars. So those could also be quite significant times for reaching your ambitions and sort of, and this December 30th especially, I think, is significant because that's like the final Pluto Mars trine, and it could like, and it, but this could be a sign that, let's say you move and then you decide to break up with him because you're like, this doesn't feel right, but you stay in a place and you meet someone else really fast, and it's like some kind of other rapid development. Is it going to be exactly like that? Hard to tell, right? Maybe it's about this relationship going to some kind of important stage of development and you experiencing like breakthroughs in intimacy and closeness, or discovering the world through the different eyes, through the different lens. So yeah, I think a move is very likely. And let me also see something. So you just turned 31. 31 is the 8th house year, ruled by Venus in the 11th. So it also it looks like a year of deep like relationship matters and maybe merging souls and resources. You're asking, could it be a baby or something like that? It could be, for sure. Especially with Pluto in the 5th house. Pluto in the 5th could bring like a sudden, it looks like a sudden development to relationships, and that could be relationships of all kinds. That could be romantic, business, contracts, agreements, like a unique opportunity comes in to teach something. It's not only going to be about relationships, because Mars also rules your house of money and values. So I think it suggests that maybe also your priorities are going to change, and the way you what you value in the world might change. So will a baby do that? It could do that, for sure. So that's my take, Carly. I hope it helps. And now we have Susan. Susan said, Carly says, interesting. Thank you. I will have to come back and report. Yeah, I feel like Uranus on your Mars, it's gonna be something. Uranus, it's just so hard, I feel like, to predict with Uranus, because the whole thing about Uranus is that he's unpredictable, right? So we may say that it's gonna be something like important and rapid, but do we know exactly what it will be? Alas. Okay, Susan, information via PayPal, and it's okay to share. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Let me put it in. And thank you for being patient, Susan. Oh, look at that. Happy belated birthday as well. Did you have a good birthday? And are you still in London? I was just talking to a friend of mine today how awesome it is to live in Europe and how easily you can travel and like go to each European country just for the weekend or something. Although I guess, in the States, there's also a lot of places you can visit, and I am not taking advantage of that at all. I'm going to Europe more than I'm traveling around the States. Okay, so let me see your question. I'd like to know what my chart says about my career purpose. I wonder what the yod in my chart. Yod is very popular today. I was telling David, I believe that I'm not an expert on the yods because I'm a traditional like Hellenistic astrologer. I should probably, work with them a little bit more. But I can tell you what I see based on my perspective. yod or not. I know it's the finger of God, and I know people get really excited because they're like, there is God left. God is showing me a finger in my chart. It's pointing me towards something. But yeah, yods are more modern astrology thing. So I'll answer your question without necessarily looking at it. Okay, so you're saying I'm thinking of going back to uni in September, but struggling to choose between nursing and film production. Any chart-based advice? That's very different indeed. David says Gemini female is my best match. With your Scorpio Venus, though, if she's a Gemini with some Cancer, then yes, probably. But I wouldn't just go like air. Could be because you're a Libra sun, but there needs to be like earth or water. Allison! How exciting. Allison is here. Hi. Okay, Susan. So just a second. Allison says, so damn early in Australia, but I made it. What time is it in Australia now? Tell me. I always forget. Okay, Susan. Does this look correct for you? Cancer Sun, Taurus Moon, Scorpio Rising. The question about career purpose, thinking of going back to school, but struggling with nursing and film production. Any chart-based advice? Okay, so your Scorpio rising with Mars, Jupiter is currently in your 9th house of education. So, of course, looking and thinking about studying. We also have North Node, the hungry North Node in creative Pisces in the house of creativity and pleasure and fun. And so a couple of cycles that we are repeating that are worth looking back. I would ask you what was happening in your life in terms of education 12 years ago. If we're looking at June 2013, so you having just turned 30, right? 2013 into June 2014. Look even further back, and because that clue, you were studying a degree in biochemistry. My question for you would be, if you look back at those, right? If you look back at 2013, 2014, and then if you look back at 2006, 2007, let's say you made a decision out of like pragmatic concerns. You went something that other people told you will pay your bills and will make you have a secure job. And if that decision turned out to not make you happy, then maybe it's the time to make the opposite decision, right? Because sometimes people kind of follow what's the most like stable choice is or what other people think you should do. So I can see nursing for sure. I think with your ascendant being ruled by Mars in Cancer, so there's definitely this ability to serve and take care of other people and nurturing personality. But film production with the midheaven being in the same sign as Venus, and Venus wanting to create beauty and Venus wanting to be creative and playful and inspired also makes a lot of sense. Your midheaven ruler is the sun in the 9th house. So it's kind of suggestive of like a career that requires a lot of education, career that maybe takes you into foreign countries and kind of makes you learn a lot of things. Your North Node is also in the 8th house, which suggests, I think, kind of working on your emotional stability. I'm just saying things I'm seeing. I am going to try to give you a coherent response, but for now I'm just trying to gather the lay of the land, take a look at the lay of the land of your chart. So North Node in Gemini is, it's interesting because South Node in Sagittarius often creates people who think that they know the truth, but in reality, maybe they don't. Maybe there is this sense of like strong beliefs and also some kind of energy of being like a lone wolf or having to figure things out on your own. It's in your second house of money. So to me, this suggests as like maybe you've always felt like you felt like you knew what you were supposed to be doing, but with the Gemini North Node in the 8th house, you're kind of encouraged to explore what you don't know. Susan, is there a sense that looking back at like the periods 2013, 2014 and 2006, 2007, were you at the crossroads at all back then? I feel like I like film production. But I think both can work for you. I don't think there's one that is like significantly better than the other. Okay, Susan, let me know what you think. I feel like with midheaven in Leo, there is this need to be visible. You're saying my dad died in studying in 2013, 14. So both always thought about like film production or nursing. Like, were both of those choices the choices that you've always considered, or are they more recent? Anyone else have Saturn in their first house? It's in my really feel off about it. No wonder. It's not the most funnest placement to be in. Potentially Saturn will lock you into overcoming hardship potentially. Okay, Susan says the film is more recent, within the last. Let me see. What did your dad do for a living? Susan? Because the ruler of your house of career is the sun, and the sun is sometimes connected to the father. So there may be some kind of, he was in the military. Okay, so that's not something you're considering doing. Yeah, the sun in Cancer, and then like, it definitely reads like it could be both, but like the sun in Cancer maybe reads more like as a doctor, especially if we're talking about a profession that requires you to constantly update your education. But then Venus is what's throwing me off. I think like Venus wants to be creative in the 9th house, but if it's something that's more recent, maybe I think Venus wants, Venus in your 10th house suggests that like you need a career that you will take pleasure in. Like you need to choose something that will bring you joy. You shouldn't just go for jobs that are, and that's why I'm thinking film production, but it doesn't just have to be film production. It has to be something that you're like very very much joyful from, and things that you enjoy doing. But yeah, so the sun as the ruler is in the 9th house. So career that requires you to constantly update your education, career that maybe brings some kind of travel, that brings relationships with other people. There's also Mercury conjunction. Mercury rules your 8th house, which is death and rebirth, creating transformations in the lives of other people. Your maybe large organizations, working for some kind of large organization. And then Mars is here, the ruler of your house of identity and the ruler of your house of health. Yeah, I feel like I'm like changing my opinion now more to nursing, but I still would say that I think both can work for you. Maybe you can minor in film and do like major in nursing and try both out without necessarily completely like closing a door on one or the other. Even North Node in the 8th house, I think, has maybe this idea of like creating emotional stability in some kind of turbulence. So I think if you're coming in and you're like guiding people through turbulence, find balance, then you can also to have more balance. Yeah, like Venus, I feel like if you didn't have Venus in the 10th, I would definitely say nursing, but Venus makes me feel like it could be both. Susan, can you do like a major and a minor? Is it possible to like do one and the other as well? Maybe you can also have, David is talking about starting a YouTube channel. Maybe Susan, you can have a YouTube channel where you like make your own films, but you like also study study nursing. I don't know. Allison says, yeah, that makes sense. We don't have a house yet, and my husband has a 3-hour commute to work. Yeah. That is, yeah, that sounds rough. What does it make your ascendant if you have Saturn in the 1st house? What's your Saturn sign? Okay, Susan says, unfortunately not. Could have it as a hobby though. Yeah, I feel like we are having some thunderstorm. I feel like I can definitely see the conflict within you. I can see why you would be torn about one or the other. I'm sorry I can't give you like a black and white clear response, because I think your chart says that like both can be a good valid sort of paths. Maybe doing, and like I feel like doing work that is maybe more connected to like healing people is indicated by your chart, but you can also heal people as a film producer. I studied film production in college, so I know I know what it's like, and I worked as a video editor for a while, and it's fun. It's definitely interesting. You're saying it's interesting that I have so many planets in the 9th house, but South Node is in Sagittarius. Yeah, to me that also suggests that there may be this sort of strong sense of like knowing the answers, like learning to appreciate chatting and communication, maybe not having all the answers, and like figuring things out and working in relationships with other people, working in partnership with other people, which could also be both creativity, right? Or nursing. So I would advise that, and you ask yourself, what is it that will bring you the most joy, and perhaps go from there. That will be my final piece of advice. And you do have a lucky Jupiter in the house of career, the house of money. which could suggest pretty good luck, sort of like good luck when it comes to finances. There's also which is about maybe being more easygoing with finances, and sometimes about making money through doing work that is of service to other people. Uranus can create some kind of twists and turns professionally, right? Changes with career, changes with the income sources. I wonder if it's about, you know, being in a medical field but doing work that's still like lets you travel maybe and explore. Allison says I need to go back and rewatch my live reading with Anastasia, but I can't remember which one it was. I can tell you. I take notes. Allison. Let's see. Where are you? I should probably search. That's my take on it. I hope it's helpful. I know and super like definitive, because if I had to choose, I would say nursing over film production. But I don't want to stop you from following your dreams if deep in your heart I tell you nursing and you feel like it's not right for you, because sometimes we need to throw, if we want to throw the coin again, if we want to keep station, right? That's in a way your answer too. Okay, Allison, it was April 28th, I think. Looks like it. Yeah, April 28th. So go back to the live from April 28th. Susan is asking, would Neptune in the second mean earning money through things like film? It absolutely could. Neptune could be about like creating and being artistic professionally, but it could also be about working with like children with developmental issues or serving people. That's why your chart kind of says it could be both. Listen to what you're more passionate about, because maybe you should take a risk, right? Maybe you should do something that is less, it's going to make you feel less secure, and maybe it's going to be less stable, but through partnership, through working with other people, you can actually figure it out. I'm going to start wrapping up. Susan, I hope this was helpful. You're saying very Gemini North Node. Yeah, very Gemini North Node. But it's like, you know, into this realm of like collaboration and partnership. So that could very much film. And Neptune is sort of undecided about it, because Neptune be both. But then Jupiter next is going to go into Leo, and you may feel like your desire for visibility and recognition is even highest. Okay, I'm getting another warning about the connection breaking up. I think my internet maybe broke for a second. Might be because there's like stormy weather. But I think I was just telling you guys that I'm going to wrap up. So thank you, everyone who asked questions, who sent donations, who dealt with the internet being a little glitchy. I appreciate that you guys were talking with each other and like helping each other figure some things out. So thank you, everyone. If you want to get a reading, you can book it on my website. You can book a full-sized reading. And sorry, it like rains. Sounds are surprising me. Yeah, so you can always book a reading for a full-sized reading. You can come study astrology with me. And if you wanted to learn astrology more, sorry, I think I'm too distracted. So if you want to study astrology, come study astrology with me. If you want to book a reading, definitely book a reading. And if you didn't get a chance to join for this mini reading, you can do so next Monday, because there's likely going to be Another one. David, so there isn't you're having issues with the website? I'm not gonna have, there's not gonna be like a special option for astrocartography. You should just either book Express or natal chart and specify that you're looking for astrocartography. And the time, also something to keep in mind, that the time shown is your time instead of my time. So just go off of the time slot that works for you. You can also email me if the issues continue. Yes, Allison, I'm also happy that you were here today, even if later on. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are, morning, night, evening, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.